Welcome to this deep dive. Today we're unpacking a really dense, but honestly fascinating academic analysis of trans science. Specifically, we're looking at Dr. Pramod Ambadasrao Pawar's 2026 novel, Orrah, The Human Cry for Wildlife.
Yeah, thanks for having me. For a curious learner like you listening out there, our mission today is to explore this crazy literary universe where human consciousness literally rewrites physical reality.
Right, and we're going to decode how, a mathematical equation can actually explain the true nature of human life. So just imagine strapping on a VR headset and dropping into a dense jungle simulation.
Oh, man.
But the weather isn't pre-programmed at all. It starts pouring rain specifically because you acted out of sheer selfishness, a few seconds ago.
Think about it. Your mindset is literally generating the physics around you. And that shift from a passive backdrop to a reactive conscious environment is the defining feature of trans science fiction.
Because traditional sci-fi fiction is like power, right? Conquering outer space or fighting rogue AI or whatever.
Exactly. Trans sci-fi focuses inward, turning human consciousness into a physical environment force. So when Flight RR-117 crashes onto this mysterious island named Orrah, the survivors aren't just battling.
The island is actively breathing.
Yeah, it's an interactive system responding directly to their presence. It operates on a psychological feedback loop called the Pramod Effect.
Right, the event, action, and reaction.
The event is just the crash itself, which violently strips away all their civilization. And you have the action phase, which is really just how the human ego scrambles to regain control.
Right, you have a character named Max who tries to dominate the situation by setting up these rigid, arbitrary rules. And then there's Rex, whose idea of love is entirely possessive, like a jealous claim of another person.
Exactly. So that brings us to the reaction phase, where the island actively mirrors and collapses the illusion. It pushes back by distorting linear time.
Wait, hold on though, delayed shadow.
Yeah, it's cool.
I mean, usually in a survival story, the greedy guy just hoards the coconuts and causes drama. How does a shadow lagging a few seconds behind you actually cure your jealousy?
Well, think about what an ego actually relies on. It's the core belief that you are a separate, dominant entity moving through a predictable physical world.
Okay, yeah, cause and effect.
Right. But if you reach out to grab something and time warps, you never quite reach it, or your own shadow just detaches and moves independently, your brain's fundamental sense of control breaks.
Oh, wow. So the island uses these impossible physical phenomena to prove that individual authority is just illusion.
Precisely. Any connection based on individual ownership or ego is doomed to perish there. The physical laws of Orrah simply refuse to validate the survivor's ego.
So it breaks them down to rebuild them. And in the novel, this psychological collapse is mapped out using a pretty bizarre mathematical equation. 1 minus 1 equals 0 equals 1.
I know, it looks like a typo, but it maps the exact mechanics of the transformation. The first one is the isolated, possessive ego Max's rules, Rex's jealousy.
Okay, and the minus 1 is the island systematically deconstructing those images.
Exactly, using those impossible shadows and time loops to actively subtract that ego.
But wait, mathematically, 1 minus 1 is just 0. If the island successfully subtracts your ego, aren't you just left empty? I mean, that sounds like psychological annihilation, not salvation.
It would be if we were talking about Western nihilism, but in this framework, 0 is an emptiness. It represents universal zeroness.
Whoa.
It's a state of perfect karmic equilibrium.
Wait, so the 0 isn't just empty nothingness, it's more like a cosmic factory reset for the human soul.
That is a perfect way to put it. You aren't wiped out. You are finally free of the biases and attachments that were clouding your perception. And that perfect neutrality gives birth to the final one in the equation.
The modified truth.
Exactly, a state of absolute oneness. Once the illusion of ownership dies, what remains is one.
So you go from thinking you are a one fighting the world to realizing you are one.
Yes, and while love isn't a transactional emotion, it's a perpetual, non-possessive state of awareness. The survivors stop trying to conquer the island or each other, and instead exist in a frictionless state with their surroundings.
That completely flips the script on how we learn or change. It really reminds me of the guru educational model of fixed references.
Oh, absolutely. The core of that model is that humans aren't empty hard drives waiting for external rescue. We are power generators containing latent universal truth.
So the answers are already there, wired into us.
Exactly. The island doesn't just inject the survivors with wild love out of nowhere. You just need a 10% external nudge-like those weird physical anomalies to spark a 90% internal realization.
Man, the ego was just blocking the current.
Yeah, it just needed to get out of the way.
That is fascinating. It makes you look at your own surroundings. So as we wrap up this deep dive, here is something for you to mull over today.
I love it.